जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजना यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा राधा गोलोकानंद राधे जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमदभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। पतित पावन श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are studying from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 73, entitled Lord Krishna Blesses the Liberated Kings. This is text 15. Tam nah samadhishopayam yena te charanabjayoh smriti yatha na viramet api samsaratam iha tam na samadhishopayam tam na samadhishopayam yena te charanabjayoh yena te charanabjayoh smritir yatha na viramet smritir yatha na viramet api samsaratamiha api samsaratamiha tam nah samadhishopayam yena te charanabjayoh smritir yatha na viramet api samsaratamiha. Vaishnavis, please. Tam, that, nah, to us, samadhisha, please instruct, upayam, the means, yena, by which, te, your, charana, of the feet, abjayo, lotus-like, smriti, remembrance, yatha, as, na viramet, may not cease, api, even, samsaratam, for those traveling through the cycle of birth and death, iha, in this world. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. Please tell us how we may constantly remember your lotus feet, though we continue in the cycle of birth and death in this world. Please kindly repeat. Please tell us how we may constantly remember your lotus feet, though we continue in the cycle of birth and death in this world. Purport. One can constantly remember the Lord only by His mercy. Such remembrance is the easy method to obtain supreme liberation, as explained in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, text 14. Ananya chetah satatam yomam smarati nityashaha tasyaham sulabha partha nitya yuktasya yoginaha. For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. The words Api Samsaratam Iha indicate that the kings were approaching Lord Krishna not merely for liberation, but rather for the boon of always being able to remember his lotus feet. Such constant remembrance is a symptom of love, and love of God is the actual goal of life. So before I begin, I seek the blessings of all senior Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Drishta Prabhu, Apurva Prabhu, please kindly offer your blessings and prayers. May the right words come at the right time, in the right mood of glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam, purifying our consciousness and pulling our heart strings closer and closer to their loving, transcendental, eternal lotus feet. With this mood, I offer my obeisances to each one of you. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So in this very beautiful verse, the importance of remembering Krishna has been stated. Srila Prabhupada would time and again quote verses from the Bhagavad Gita in his purports, where Krishna mentions Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. This verse has appeared twice in the Gita, in 934 and 1865. Both places, the first line remains the same, where Krishna says, remember me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer obeisances to me. And if you do this, then surely you will come to me. And Pratijani priyosi me, hey Arjun, I can't lie to you because you're my dear friend. Srila Prabhupada would also quote verses like Ananya Cheta Satatam Yomam Smarati Nityashaha, again where Krishna says that those who are one-pointed, without deviation and distraction, those who remember me will surely come to me. There are many, many beautiful references in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna mentions that it's very important to remember him. Another prominent and very famous verse is Ananyash Chintayanto Mam Ye Jana Paryupasate Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yogakshemam Vahamyam. Krishna promises that for those who remember him with love, he will preserve what they have and he will bring what they lack, just by remembering him. Even towards the end of the 6th chapter, 647 Gita, Krishna says, Yoginam api sarvesham madgaten antaratmanaha shraddhavan bhajate yomam sameyukta tamo mataha. He says, of all the yogis, those who remember me and lovingly serve me are the ones who are the best. And he repeats that in the first verse of the 7th chapter, the next chapter. He says, Mai asakta mana partha, with mind attached to me. This theme is an ongoing theme, continuous. In so many chapters we can find Krishna says, remember me. Continuously remember me. So much so that he tells Arjun, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhyacha. O Arjun, remember me and fight this battle. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu. At all times, in all places, one must remember Krishna. In the Bhagavatam, in the 2nd canto, 2nd chapter, text 36, Shukadev Goswami says, Tasmat sarvatmana rajan hari sarvatra sarvada Shrotravya kirtitavyascha smartavyo bhagavandranam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Shukadev Goswami concludes, the business of the living entity is to always remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead in every circumstance. The Lord should be heard about, glorified, and remembered by all human beings. So basically, tasmat, therefore, Shukadev Goswami says, sarvatmana, with all one's heart. What should one do? Shrotavyaha, hear about him. Kirtitavyaha, speak about him, chant about him, sing about him. And smartavyaha, remember him. And who is that him? Bhagavan Harihi, Sri Krishna. And one should do this nridam, irrespective of our background, caste, creed, religion, nationality. and sarvatra, in all places, sarvada, at all times. Srila Prabhupada, in his purport to 1865 Bhagavad Gita, he writes a very brilliant point. I would like to read a paragraph of that purport. Srila Prabhupada says, the most confidential part of knowledge is that one should become a pure devotee of Krishna and always think of Krishna and act for Krishna. One should not become an official meditator. Life should be so molded that one will always have the chance to think of Krishna. One should always act in such a way that all his daily activities are in connection with Krishna. He should arrange his life in such a way that throughout 24 hours he cannot but think of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada. And the purport continues. And the Lord's promise is that anyone who is in pure Krishna consciousness will certainly return to the abode of Krishna, where he will be engaged in the association of Krishna face to face, says Srila Prabhupada. Then Srila Prabhupada continues, these words stress that one should concentrate his mind upon Krishna, the very form with two hands, carrying a flute, bluish boy with a beautiful face and peacock feather on his hair. How wonderful. That's Radha Golokananda. There are descriptions of Krishna, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, there are descriptions of Krishna found in the Brahma Samhita and other literatures. One should fix his mind on this original form of Godhead Sri Krishna. Now, Srila Prabhupada says, one should not even divert his attention to other forms of the Lord. The Lord has multi-forms as Vishnu, Narayana, Rama, Varaha, etc. But a devotee should concentrate his mind on the form that was present before Arjuna, Sri Krishna. Concentration of the mind on the form of Krishna constitutes the most confidential part of knowledge, and this is disclosed to Arjuna because Arjuna is a dear friend of Krishna's. So beautiful. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is described. So now that we've established in our discussion that it's important to remember Krishna, now we get into the second part of the discussion on the benefits of remembering Krishna. What do we gain? What do we get? What's in it for me by remembering Krishna? Chaitanya Charitamrita describes, Granther aramba kori mangalacharan, Hari Guru Vaishnava tinero smarana hoy bigna binashan, anayase hoy nija vanchita puran. Chaitanya Charitamrita describes that by remembering Krishna and remembering the Vaishnava Acharyas, all obstacles on the path of bhakti are removed and all of one's spiritual desires are fulfilled. So two benefits are given. If we are having obstacles on the path of bhakti, and if we feel our spiritual desires are not getting fulfilled, we just have to intensify our remembrance of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada writes in Nectar of Devotion on the theme of remembering Krishna. Srila Prabhupada quotes, in the Padma Puran, the same remembrance is explained as follows. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, because if someone remembers him, either at the time of death or during their span of life, he becomes freed from all sinful reactions. So that's the third benefit. The first benefit is obstacles on the path of bhakti are removed. Second benefit is all our spiritual desires are fulfilled. And third, we become sinless. This is also quoted in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4, Text 15. 2:4-15. Shukadev Goswami says, Yad kirtanam yad smaranam yadikshanam yad vandanam yad shravanam yadarhanam lokasya sadhyo vidunoti kalmasham tasmai subhadra shravase namo namaha. My Guru Maharaj would quote this verse in his Mangalacharan before starting a class. This means that there are 6 ways, the verse in the Bhagavatam says, there are 6 ways to purify the heart. First, yad kirtanam, to preach about Krishna, to sing about Krishna, to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This is the first method. The second, yet smaranam, to remember Krishna. That's the context of our discussion. The third, yad ikshanam, to glance on the deity while the deity is glancing on us. and to study Srimad Bhagavatam, to glance on the Vedic literature. This is the third way to purify ourselves. First, by kirtanam, by singing, preaching, chanting. Second, by remembering Krishna. Third, by studying Shastra and having glance of the deities. Fourth, yad vandanam, by offering prayers. Fifth, yad shravanam, by hearing about Krishna. And sixth, by deity worship. Lokasya sadhyo vidhunoti kalmasham. 2:4:15, Srimad Bhagavatam. By this, instantly, one becomes purified. So purification of heart, that's another benefit. Also in Srimad Bhagavatam 11:30-36, Canto 11, chapter 30, text 36, it is described, Yasyanu nrunam ajnana dhvanta nashanam. What happens by remembering Krishna? Yasya anusmaranam nrunam. O Krishna, by constantly remembering you, ajnana dhvanta nashanam. Our mentality to take wrong decisions in life, to be in ignorance, to be very passionate about material achievements, to have wrong ideas, misconceptions, all of these clouds of darkness and philosophical deviations are all removed from the heart. And the example given is, Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayana agham dhunvanti karsneha niharamiva bhaskara. In Canto 6, chapter 1, text 15, it is described, just like all night long, you see the sky remains dark in ignorance, but just by the first rays of the sunlight, the whole sky gets painted red. Similarly, we have been having the sky of our consciousness dark in avidya or ignorance for lifetimes, but just the first ray of remembering Krishna paints the whole consciousness red, the color of bhakti, the color of love. So that's another benefit. Also in purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes, this is purport to 2:936, Srimad Bhagavatam. Sorry for giving these numbers, this is for reference purpose, so that I am accountable. When I sit here, I'm accountable to the Vaishnavas on what comes out of my mouth. And the more we align with Srila Prabhupada's statements and Srila Prabhupada's conclusion, to that extent, this is service. So, 2:936 Srimad Bhagavatam, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes from Skanda Puran, another benefit of remembering Krishna. Srila Prabhupada quotes the verse, Yasya smritya cha namoktya tapad yajnakriyadishu nunam sampurnatam eti sadhyo vandetam achyutam. What does this verse mean? Yasya smritya cha namuktya. By chanting Krishna's name and by remembering Sri Krishna, tapo yajna kriyadishu nunam sampurnatam eti. All the mistakes and flaws and drawbacks that may exist in our service, they are all fulfilled. They are all led to perfection. Just like when we leave the altar, we chant, Aparada sahasrani kriyante harnisham maya dasoham iti mammatva kshamasva madhusudana pratigyatava govinda name bhakta pranashyati iti samsmritya pranan sandharayamyaham. O Krishna, while I am dressing you, while I am serving you, there may be offenses. My only solace is that by remembering you, you may kindly forgive this servant of yours. So Srila Prabhupada quotes from Skanda Puran that by remembering Krishna, all of our mistakes that we may apparently commit in our services, they are all removed and one's service is considered complete. Another advantage of remembering Krishna, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajyatante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sadatad bhava bhavita antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yaprayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samshayam. Krishna says this in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, text 5 and 6, that by remembering Krishna at the time of death, another advantage, we break through the cycle of birth and death. We escape the cycle of birth and death. And it doesn't just happen by chance, that all my life I remember other things and eureka, at the time of death, somehow, it just so happened that I remembered Krishna. Doesn't work like that. Doesn't work like that. Practice makes a man and a woman perfect. Right? By practicing, we get good at what we practice. So Krishna says, at the time of death, if you remember me, then you escape the cycle of birth and death, and you surely come to me. This is also quoted in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Etavan sankha yogabhyam swadharma parinishtaya janma labha parapumsam ante narayana smritihi. The purpose of life, the purpose of bhakti is very deep, absorbed remembrance of Krishna. This is the purpose. The summum bonum, the essence of bhakti is how intensely are we able to remember Krishna. I could be chanting Hare Krishna, but my mind could be somewhere else. I could be serving the deity and my mind could be somewhere else. I could be hearing Hari Katha or studying Srimad Bhagavatam and my mind could be somewhere else. It still gives benefit, but the supreme benefit is in absorption. We have given this example before that if you keep a piece of paper, in front of the sun, then the paper may get warm, but it doesn't get burnt. But now if I keep a magnifying lens and have the rays of the sun focused through that magnifying lens, then the paper not just gets hot, it gets burnt. When the rays of the sun are distracted, then the paper may get warm, it doesn't get burnt. But the same rays of the sun, when they get laser beam focused, they become completely concentrated. Instead of being distracted, they are focused, then the paper burns. So bhakti is like that. The more we remember Krishna, the better the results that we receive. Another wonderful benefit of remembering Krishna, Chaitanya Charitamrita describes, Kathanchana smrite yasmin dushkaram sukaram bhavet vismritir viparitam syat Shri Chaitanyam namamitam. It is described that by forgetting Krishna, simple things become difficult. Simple things become complicated. And by remembering Krishna, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then difficult things become very simple. Like we know Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he had 13 children. He had 2 active jobs as a grihastha, and he wrote more than 144 songs in his life. He wrote many books, and being an active judge, a village magistrate, a superintendent of the Jagannath temple, there was a lot of responsibility on his shoulder. But it's described he executed all of that to perfection because of his constant absorption in Krishna. It is described what would take other professionals 6 hours to decide on a certain legal case. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur would very quickly come to the conclusion in less than 1 hour. How is that possible? Because he was so sharp, he was so intelligent, he was so bright because of his constant absorption in Krishna and chanting his holy names. This made Bhaktivinoda Thakur so empowered. So difficult things become simple by remembering Krishna, and simple things get complicated, and we know that by forgetting Krishna. Another advantage given in Chaitanya Charitamrita on remembering Krishna is we get saved from material calamity. Past karma is coming. Every single day, some or the other reaction from past life is unfolding. You see, we have so many units of suffering and so many units of enjoyment in this body. And every sunrise that we wake up, that day, that 24 hours, is going to open up some of the other box that we have to enjoy or suffer from past life. So now when we remember Krishna, we develop better shock absorber system. You see, depending on the car that we have and the shock absorbing system that the car has, the experience is less bumpy or more bumpy depending on where we are driving. If we are driving a car which doesn't have, where the shock absorber is quite messed up, then every jerk, every ditch, every speed breaker, you feel it in your back. But if the car is very good, the road remains the same, but we don't feel anything because the car has a better shock absorbing system. So life will give those speed breakers. Life will give those ditches. Life will give those potholes of suffering. But remembering Krishna strengthens the shock absorbing system of our life. The example given in Chaitanya Charitamrita is the life of Gopinath Patnaik. Gopinath Patnaik, the brother of Ramananda Rai, he had a reversal in his life, and without getting much into the details of the story, he was given death sentence for a mistake that he had made. And there it's described, he folded his palms and he was about to be killed. He was about to be punished and executed. And he folded his palms and he remembered Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And interestingly, situation in life changed where the king overruled a previously given instruction and released Gopinath Patnaik. And not just that, he tripled his salary. So that's one of the best incentives, I guess. Remembering Krishna not just saves one from material calamity, also gives one spiritual and material comfort. Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Changera upore tomar charana dhyan kailo charana smarana prabhave ei phala pailu. Gopinath Patnaik folds his palms and tells Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, my dear Lord, I was about to be killed, but by the power of remembering your lotus feet, I was saved from material calamity. And finally, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 12, Chapter 12, Text 55, gives 7 benefits of remembering Krishna. Please kindly repeat after me. We don't have the verse here, but just call and response by sound. Avismriti Krishna Padara Vindayo Kshinoti Abhadrani Chasham Tanoti Sattvasya Shuddhi Paramatma Bhakti Jnanam Cha Vijnana Viraga Yuktam. 7 benefits of remembering Krishna are: 1. Kshinoti Abhadrani. Any astrological past karma that's chasing us will reduce. Second benefit, Sham Tanoti. Whatever good is written in our astrological prediction that we will enjoy will multiply. Third, Sattvasya Shuddhim. Consciousness gets cleansed. Fourth, Paramatma Bhaktim. One becomes a better devotee. 5, Jnanam. Transcendental wisdom rises in the heart. 6th, one starts seeing this world devotionally. You see, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says this is a place of suffering. But Prabodhananda Saraswati says, Vishwam Purna Sukhayate. The whole world is a place of enjoyment, spiritual ecstatic bliss. So who's speaking the truth and who's speaking false? Well, both are speaking the truth. Krishna is giving the absolute truth that this place is a place of misery if you forget me. And Prabodhananda Saraswati says, this world is a place of bliss if we remember Krishna. So that's the 6th benefit, better vision of this world. And 7th benefit, Viraga Yuktam. One gets detached of all material anarthas and offenses. So 7 benefits again. 1, destruction of distress. 2nd, expansion of joy. 3rd, purification of heart. 4th, elevation on the ladder of devotion. 5, divine transcendental knowledge. 6th, better vision, devotional vision of this world. And 7th, detachment from all that is disgusting in this world. So all of this happens, 12:55 Bhagavatam says, just by remembering Krishna. So now that we have heard part 1, it's important to remember Krishna. Part 2, on the benefits of remembering Krishna. Now we will conclude our discussion by 7 ways by which we can practice remembrance of Krishna. That's the call for action. We know what to do, and we know what we gain by it. Now we learn about how to do what we do, right? So 7 ways to remember Krishna on a daily basis. 1, the first way is to increase our hearing and chanting about Krishna. Because naturally the mind starts thinking of things that we hear about and we see. If we're going to see our phone and hear social media, then that's naturally what we end up thinking about. What we hear, whether it's conversations or whether it's Harikatha, what we read, whether it's newspaper, magazine, or Srimad Bhagavatam, that's what we end up remembering. A beautiful quote from Srila Prabhupada, a beautiful portion of Srila Prabhupada's purport. This is Nectar of Instruction, verse 8 purport. Srila Prabhupada talks about how hearing and chanting leads to remembrance. Srila Prabhupada writes, in the neophyte state, one should always engage in hearing Krishna Katha. I repeat that again. In the neophyte state, one should always engage in hearing Krishna Katha. This is called Shravan Dasha, the state or the stage of hearing. Now Srila Prabhupada says, by constantly hearing the transcendental holy name of Krishna and hearing the transcendental form, qualities and pastimes of Krishna, one can attain the stage of acceptance called Varana Dasha. When one attains this stage, one becomes attached to hearing Krishna Katha. When one is able to chant in ecstasy, he attains the stage of Smaranavastha, the stage of remembering Krishna. Recollection, absorption, meditation, constant remembrance, and trance are 5 items of progressive Krishna Smaranam, or remembrance of Krishna. What a beautiful point. This is the first point out of the 7 points of remembering Krishna. Also, we can add one more thing to this, that when we hear about Krishna and read about Krishna, we can also make little index cards on important bhajans, important shlokas, and important points from the purport that we can carry in our pocket. So even when we are walking, even when we are about to sit in the car, even when we are chanting, or in the middle of, let's say we have finished our chanting and we are waiting for the curtains to open, we can pull up the index card, read a line or two and put it back. So they are like bursts of joy. Just like as soon as you put some candy or a toffee or a chocolate in mouth, it's like burst of sugar. Similarly, as soon as we have an index card which has a verse or a piece of a bhajan or a point or two from the purport, that's a burst of remembrance of Krishna. Second point, how we can remember Krishna, is whatever we read and hear about, we try to connect that in real world life circumstance. The example given is, Godavari dekhi hoila Jamuna smaran, tire bane dekhi smriti hoila Brindavan, Mayurera kantha dekhi Prabhur Krishna smriti hoila, prema beshe Mahaprabhu bhumite padila. Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Mahaprabhu, when he would hear from Ramananda Rai and Swarup Damodar Goswami, he would connect that to the real world. And when he saw a river stream, he would remember Jamuna. When he would see trees and forests, he would remember Vrindavan. When he would see rocks, he would remember Giriraj. And when he would see the beautiful neck, the bluish neck of a peacock, he would remember the complexion of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada also quotes from Nectar of Devotion that Srimati Radharani, when she would look at the cloud and the complexion of the cloud, she would faint in ecstasy, remembering the complexion of Sri Krishna. Of course, we don't have to faint in ecstasy, but the point is, when we see clouds, when we see the blue sky, when we see blue lotuses, when we see the mascara of the eye, the complexion of Krishna, anything black, anything blue, we remind ourselves of Krishna. A water stream anywhere should remind us of Jamuna. A mountain, including the Akunichi mountain, should remind us of Giriraj Govardhan. So this is the second point that we can remember. First is more reading and more hearing. Second is connection to real life. The third point is making a point of daily journaling. We have a little diary with us, a little notebook, where we write on the theme, how did I meet Krishna today? How did I meet Krishna today? It could be very simple. It could be very simple. It could be meeting a child who was sincerely sitting and chanting japa. And then we feel, I wish I had the innocence of this child. I started my devotional practice in ISKCON like this, and look what I have done to my heart 30 years later. I wish I could press the restart button and start to chant like this child. So that's a little note we can write in our diary, how I met Krishna today, or what are the inspirations I received today. The fourth point that we can do is, while chanting Hare Krishna, we pray that, my dear Lord, all day long, doesn't matter where I go and doesn't matter what services I'm doing, may I never forget you. May I never forget you. In the Mukunda Mala Stotra, King Kulashekara, the great sage Kulashekara, he says, my dear Lord, Nindantu Priya Bandhava Gurujana Grandhantu Munchantuva. Please give me so much love for you that even when my friends criticize me, even when my family rejects me, even when the society insults me, may my mind not leave the remembrance of your lotus feet. May I love you so much. So in this way, developing the mood of chanting and praying. How many points have we finished? We finished 4. So then this is the 5th one. To keep association of devotees who are good examples and to keep away from bad examples. It is described, Jaro mukhe bhai hori kotha nai, tar kache tumi jao na, jaro mukha dekhi bhuli jabe hari, tar mukha pan cheo na. It is described in Bengali that if you see someone and they start talking, and if that conversation takes your mind away from Krishna, don't meet that person. Doesn't matter who they are. If conversations with people are going to take us away from Krishna, again, on a practical front, we may have to do what we have to do, but we are talking here about strictly circumstances which are critical, which are gossip-oriented, which are unnecessary. So keeping good examples and good association, and keeping away from the bad examples. Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela also describes, chapter 12, text 51, Mana dushta hoile nahi Krishnero smaran, Krishna smriti binu hoy nishphala jivan. That the aim of life is to remember Krishna, and remembrance of Krishna is possible in a pure mind, and that mind becomes contaminated by bad association. So, keeping bad association away. That could be personalities, that could be gadgets, that could be circumstantial thought process. Over-analysis, it's described, paralysis by analysis. Sometimes we analyze circumstances so much that we don't act. So it's paralysis by analysis. So keeping away from people, keeping away from circumstances which are agitating, keeping away from gadgets or unnecessary browsing, because that contaminates the mind and that makes it impossible to remember Krishna. Final couple of points. I believe the 6th point is to offer all activities to Krishna. So just before we start any activity, for Arjuna it was fighting a battle. For us it could be going to the IT industry, it could be being a teacher, it could be being a researcher. Doesn't matter what our activity is. Before we start the activity and after we finish the activity, we offer it to Krishna. Before we, let's say it could be shopping. We're going for grocery shopping. So before we do that, we pray to Krishna, my dear Lord, I will see fruits, I will see flowers, I will see vegetables. May I do it for you. May I shop for you. And after we finish the activity, we say, my dear Lord, this is all yours. I am taking Ganga water and offering it back to Ganga. And finally, the 7th point by which we can remember Krishna is offering prayers in front of the deity. Heartfelt prayers. Krishna, may I never forget you. And I want to conclude with a beautiful portion of Srila Prabhupada's lecture given on 9th of April 1969, where Srila Prabhupada says we should pray the prayers of Narottam Das Thakur and beg Krishna, may Krishna, I never forget you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Golokananda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Well, I think she waits for me to finish.
No, you're still on time with the time, too. See you this afternoon, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Enam Kanvam Dhammaravindanalayatasham Bharavatam Samasitam Buddhasundaranam Kandar Agom Vitamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Andani Asa Sakalem Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham.
This is page 71. Tumi Sarveshwareshwara Brajendra Kumar Tomara Ichhaye Bishve Srujana Samhar. Page 71. Tumi Sarveshwareshwara Brajendra Kumar Tomara Ichhaye Vishve सृजना संहार तव इच्छा मत ब्रह्मा करे न सृजन तव इच्छा मत विष्णु करे न पालन तव इच्छा मत ब्रह्मा करे न सृजन तव इच्छा मत विष्णु तव इच्छा मत शिव करे न संहार तव इच्छा मत माया सृजे कारागार तव इच्छा करे न संहार तव इच्छा मत माया तव इच्छा मत जीवे जन्म मरण समृद्धि निपात दुख सुख संघटन तव मत जीवे जन्म मरण समृद्धि निपात दुख सुख संगठन मिछे माया बद्ध जीव आशा पाश फिरे तब इच्छा बिना किछु करिते न पारे मिछे माया बद्ध जीव পালাকো তোমার চরণ বিনা আশা নাহিয়া নিজ বল চেষ্টা প্রতি ভরসা ছাড়িয়া তোমার ইচ্ছায় আছি নির্ভর করিয়া নিজ বল ভকতি বিনোদাতে দীন কিঞ্চন তোমার इच्छायता जीवना मरणा भक्ति तुमी सर्वेश्वरेश्वर ब्रजेन्द्र कुमार तुम्हार इच्छाए विश्वेश जन संहार राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 जय राधा गोलोकानंद राधा गोलोकानंद राधा गोलोकानंद श्री राधे जय राधा गोलोकानंद राधा गोलोकानंद राधा गोलोकानंद श्री जय राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय श्री राधे निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय श्री राधा गोलोकानंद की
O youthful Prince of Braj, you are the controller of all controllers. By your whims, the universe is created and destroyed. By your wish, Lord Brahma creates. By your wish, Lord Vishnu creates, maintains. By your wish, Lord Shiva destroys. And by your wish, Maya Devi creates the prison of the material world. By your wish, all beings live and die. They develop and are degraded in different stages of suffering and happiness, all by your sanction. You are the protector, maintainer. I have no other wish but to attain your feet. By my own endeavor, I have no hope. I am completely dependent on your desires. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, I am insignificant with only you to depend on. By your wish, I may have life or death. What a prayer. Jai. Oh, so Harinam Sankirtan on Saturday. And it's going to be in Durham, 5 to 7 at 5 Points. I'll send out an announcement. Please come so we can share this wonderful knowledge and holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hari Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, with so many conditioned souls. Jai. Chaitodarpanam marjanam bhavamahadavagni nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Pranamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahudan Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapitani Amita Smarane Nakala Etadrishita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Suhishuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Ahoitaki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam. Thank you. Stita Duli Sajachim Vichintaya Nayanam Gadadashu Daraya Vadanam Gadgurudaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vapukada Tavanama Grahane Bhavishyati Yugayatam Nimishena Chakshusha Bravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishava Padamritam Anastumam Adarshanam Marma Hatakarotuva Yatatatava Vidadatu Lampato Mat Prananatastusa Eva Napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh Lord, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? Oh Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Shri